gift and the book. My wife had that book in circulation, and I read part of it, so now I get to finish it. It's excellent. Thank you, Humphreys. Thanks for all who have a part in our morning worship together. I always enjoy coming to be here, but this morning's a special morning in that it's Transformation celebration for all Christians, some in different ways than others. But let me tell you, you are all transformed. Let me help you with proving that. I would hate for you to have come to this meeting looking like you did when you got out of bed. But in the business of the morning, you all transformed yourselves. I would hate for you to have seen me when I first got out of bed this morning. Now, we go through the process of transformation outwardly. I want to talk to you about the transformation inwardly. Now, for Jesus, it was a matter of, well, they had asked before, the passage I have suggested for today, they had asked, hey, give us some proof that you're this important, that you are, in fact, the Son of God, that you are the Messiah we've been searching and seeking and waiting for. We want some proof of that. And following that is this Mount of Transfiguration. Interesting thing about this mount, Jesus went up to meditate and pray. That's a good thing to do. Elevated places. That's why perhaps we like the mountains and to go to the mountains. It's peaceful, it's quiet, and so forth. So Jesus wanted to go there to meditate and find God's will. Jesus never did anything without first seeking God's will. That's a lesson in itself, and we could expand that, but beside the point. And he took with him Peter, James, and John. Why 3? Why didn't he take all the disciples? I don't know. But I think perhaps it's this. I think perhaps these are the 3 close followers of Jesus who were sort of doubting. Peter's denial would be an example of that. They weren't quite sure. And the Sadducees and Pharisees had been saying to Jesus, give us some sign. He didn't bother to take them. He bothered to take his close followers, Peter, James, and John. And they were 3 of several Jesus could have taken to the mount. But he chose these 3, and I do think that's significant. And I'm just, in a matter of guessing, why he chose these 3. It's not clear in Scripture. But I suspect it's because they needed a sign that it was Jesus. Now, someone else was on the mountain, 2 other people. Do you know who they were? Moses and Elijah. Why would Moses and Elijah appear to Jesus and these 3, I'm saying, doubting disciples on the mountain? Moses was the giver of law for Israel. Extremely important concept here. Based on tradition and law, Moses appeared. How about Elijah? Why did he appear? Elijah was known of the greatest of all the prophets. It's evident in many ways, in many places in Scripture, and many concepts of theologians. So there's Moses, the giver of law, and there is Elijah, the prophet, the great prophet of Israel. And here's the Scripture. 7th chapter, Matthew. After 6 days, I should remind you, after the Pharisees and Sadducees said, show us a sign. We want to know for sure. Okay, after 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them, those who were there. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, guards, one of you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Well, while he was still speaking, a bright light enveloped them. And a voice from the cloud said, this is my Son, whom I love, and with whom I am well pleased. And when the disciples heard this, they all fell down on the ground, afraid. But Jesus came and touched them and said, get up. That could have been, I almost made that my text today, Ken. Come on, get up, get with it. He said, get up. There they were afraid. When they looked up, they saw no one but Jesus. I'm not interested in pursuing anything in deep theology. This is a difficult passage to interpret. It is. Strange things happen. The appearance of Jesus and all that. So I'm not interested in getting into theology, the depth of, there are all kinds of concepts about this. What I want to do is share with you my concept about what transfiguration is and what it means. For example, our word transformer comes from the basic word transfiguration. What in the world's a transformer? I'm no electrician, but I know this. Transform means to change voltage. How about your voltage? Running a little low? Not as many amps as you used to have. Transform means to change voltage, but it also means to change the form of energy. Is yours totally spiritual or spiritual at all? Is yours energy alone? The electrician knows all about AD, the amp, the different kinds of power, high voltage, low voltage. Where does your voltage come from? Transform also means to change the value, like you change the value of batteries, for example. You know, you can get a high voltage battery, a low voltage battery. So this involves internal things, to me, more than external things. You transformed yourselves with the help of Mary Kay or somebody like that. I'm saying this means not that you should transform. Jesus was. He appeared to be different, quite different. And once you get the voltage right, you're going to be quite different. You will appear with a bright face. You will appear as if you are beautified, but not in the flesh, but in the spirit. Extremely important. Now let me add, there is no age or condition, hear me, no age or condition where you cannot be transformed. It is possible for all. So long as you have your knowing, so long as you have your breathing, you can be transformed. Not with the help of outward appearance and all the accessories of makeup and all that. Not at all that, but by the renewing of your spirit. So, challenge you. Transform your thinking. I can't do it for you. There's no switch or button that I can turn on, or you, chaplain, can turn on for the group. No. Can you for your congregation back in the mountains? No. You have to do it yourself. And don't be fooled by procedures you hear on TV or wherever about how this can happen for you. If you'll send a few $100, it can take. No, don't worry about that sort of thing. It's your switch. It's your decision. We had in our church, this was at Mooresville First Baptist Church, and we had a lady in our church who outwardly could not stay warm. And she would constantly come into the church and go to the beside the wall where you're into the back, the pulpit area ministry, and readjust the thermostat. It was an outward thing. And so she would turn it up so hot the preacher would sweat. I was the preacher. And people would become uncomfortable. So we solved that problem. We put the switch behind in another area, and that was a false switch. It didn't do a thing in the world. But she could not worship unless she switched that and changed it, thinking it would change the atmosphere, the voltage, the spirit of the whole group. No, you can't turn it on and off. You can't regulate it except for yourself. Wish I could do it for you. Can't do it. Transform your thinking. Start thinking positively more than you ever had. Don't get down and out. Don't say, woe is me. No, you can be transformed from that. The old saying, I don't know where this came from. I wish I could say it's original. Well, it is, because I keep it alive. You are not what you think you are. You are not what you think you are. You are what you think. What are your thoughts? When you were beautifying your face and fixing your hair, were you considering anything sort of spiritual? Renewing your spirit, renewing your thinking, extremely important. Well, here's a big one. Here's where I get on your case. Transform your attitude. Attitudes change with age, incidents, bereavements, loss of home, change of that atmosphere, change of food. Well, I hear that's for the better, so much as I know how times I've been here. But change your attitude. Don't be down and out. Years ago, when I was studying, one of the best books I ever read was Norman Vincent Peale's Positive Thinking. did more for any book I suppose I've ever read. There is so much in that. I'm telling you, you feel better if you think positive. You look better if you're a positive thinker. You are being transformed not on the outside, but the inside. Now wake up to that. Jesus said, get up. You know why Jesus said, get up to them? Get up now. Let's go. Let's change things. They were asleep. They were asleep. I have spoken to many groups. I don't see a one of you sleeping now. Thank goodness. But I have spoken to many groups. One incident I remember was in college. Most boring professor I ever had was one of the smartest. His name, Dr. Kernodle. A peculiar name, a peculiar man, and a poor lecturer. Though he was brilliant, his lectures were so dry till 2 or 3 in the class would sleep. They would sleep while he would be lecturing. And I suppose one day he was just kind of fed up with that, and I noticed he got his textbook and walked through the student body, and right where one guy was sleeping, he banged his book down like that, and 2 or 3 people jumped up, and he went right on lecturing. Didn't say a word to them, but he sure got their attention. Now, if there's any point at which I want to get your attention, it is change of attitude. Extremely important. And there's no age or condition where that's impossible. Attitude is an inward thing. It is not your outward appearance, but it will change the way you look. It will change your friendships. People you see walking away on the hall because you're coming, you got a bad attitude, they don't want to fool with you. It's changing life. Change your attitude. You are not what you think you are what you think. Another thing I would like to see transformed in all of us, and I'm talking to myself also, and that is change of fear. From doubt and despair, from a grouch to a loving voice. Change your attitude. It will affect your fear. Those who love to live are not afraid. Those who are afraid have a difficult time living. Don't fear death. It is a transition. What if no one ever died? What a mess we'd be in. My Aunt May would still be alive if she was a grouch. No, she's gone on and she has changed her attitude. I don't know, if Peter let her in, he said to her, May, you've got to change your attitude before you come in here. Extremely important, because if you are afraid every day you live, it weakens your faith, your trust in God, your belief that there is a hereafter, there is a better world, there is a better way. Change from fear to trust, from doubt to believing. And lastly, I'm asking you to change your mind. Your mind is on your body too much. I'm guilty too. Try getting into the life of someone else. Sharing, caring, loving, serving, being something to somebody else. and take your mind off yourself. That takes the transformation. And it's possible for all at any age, in any state of condition. Just like you changed your appearance when you came here this morning, and thank God you did. You can change your inner appearance. It has to do with voltage. It has to do with energy. It has to do with the change of energy, the kind of energy. That's what a transformer does, and that's what transformation does. Hey, John, Peter, James were not the same when they left that place. Oh, I pray and hope that you will not be the same when you leave this place. And you can. No button, no switch. Here's how you do it. Paul had it right when he wrote to the church at Rome, chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore, my beloved friends, I urge you, in view of God's mercy, offer your body a living sacrifice to God, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual and worship privilege. Do not conform to this world, but be transformed. How in the world can that happen? Paul says, by the renewing of your mind. And if you will do that and be transformed, you will have done the will of God. Get up. Come on. Get up. Get with it. Be transformed.